Okay, ready to get started, everyone? Okay, so welcome, everyone. This is the PyData NY 2017 pop quiz. At many PyData events this year where did we do it? We did it in Seattle, we did it in Amsterdam, we did one in London. I think we skipped one in Berlin. We've done events like this. When we did them after hours at a pub, they were pub quizzes. When we did them during the day, they were pop quizzes. The whole idea is a lot of you are excellent, fantastic, amazing data scientists and data engineers. Some of you are pretty okay at Python. Some of you are great at Python. Some of you want to get better at Python. We have a guest MC today. This is Joe Jevnik. You may have seen his talk earlier in this room. None of you are as good at Python as Joe, and you will never be as good at Python as Joe. He is a boy wonder. Oh my God. The purpose of this pop quiz is to have a little bit of fun, learn something about Python, learn something that you didn't know, and to answer some questions. This is a completely interactive session. The way it works is I have 48.5 minutes of questions. If we are on schedule, time zone's a little bit off, but if we're on schedule, we'll end this in 48.5 minutes. You will answer these questions. Now, I wrote my own custom slideshow program to display this, and it has a couple of features. One of them is you can see how much time you have left. The other one is it blinks really annoyingly flash red when you have no time left. So the very first thing I want you to start with, if you're taking notes on a piece of paper, write down your name. Since we're not in Teams right now, write down your name and your contact email or Twitter. If you're on your laptop, just open up an email. You can email me your answers afterwards if you want to know what the answers are. But what I would encourage you to do is to actually try to answer these questions. Don't just look at them, but actually try and come up with the answer for them, because it'll really benefit you when we come to them. If we have time, we'll go over some answers. Otherwise, it'll be up to you over the next 4 days, or 5 days if you're here for sprints, to come to me or come to Joe and get the answers. Now, one thing, Joe has been recruited into being our guest MC for this within the last 2 minutes or so. So he knows some of the answers. No, he knows every answer. He knows every answer to every question. So if you have any questions about any of this, ask Joe. He's seeing them for the first time, but we'll count how long it takes until he goes, oh yeah, I know the answer. It's great, it's amazing to be young and brilliant. So let's get started. And we're going to start with a very simple round. It's a round called Starting Slow. We're going to ask you some really general questions about Python. And, if you don't have your laptop, take answers, take down answers on your phone. But do try to take down answers. At the end of this, if you actually want me to score them, you can email them to me, and I'll give you the actual answers, and I'll tell you where you were right or wrong. So, number one, starting slow. What's new in Python 3.7? Joe, do you know actually something that's new in Python 3.7? Don't share it with them. They're expected to answer this. But do you know something that's new in Python 3.7? Because I actually don't know the answer to this. Yeah. The version number, don't put that. That's a dumb answer.
Yeah. I don't think I actually know anything.
Joe doesn't even know something. I actually do know something. Context-lib.async context manager. Nobody knows that.
Oh, no context.
Oh yeah, there you go.
No context, right?
Next question. Name 3 PEPs, their numbers and what they do. For example, PEP 8 is about how to waste your time arguing with your coworkers about formatting. So name 3 other PEPs and what they do, by number and what they do. I'll give you more than 15 seconds. That's maybe a little bit too little time. We'll give him, for 3 PEPs, we'll give him another 20 seconds. How about that? Should be easy. Just keep the answer real short.
Is your PEP public?
Yes, there's a talk about it. And they don't have to be accepted PEPs, just any PEP.
Yeah. For bonus points, use James's PEP.
I'm listed only in the bottom section in the acknowledgement, so you have to be really hardcore to read through every PEP all the way to the bottom.
For extra bonus points, do the PEP I'm acknowledged in.
Oh yeah, there you go. Bonus points there. That's what people are looking for in their lives.
Bonus points.
Bonus points and encyclopedic knowledge of Python proposals.
Yes. Okay.
Let's move on. Name 3 recommendations from PEP 8. That's easy. The hard question would be name 3 useful recommendations from PEP 8. I sent an email to one of the authors. I sent it to Barry Warsaw, and I asked him if I can get a certificate that's a lifetime exemption from people complaining about PEP 8, 81 character lines in my code. And he hasn't responded yet, but I'm working on that for 2018. Let's give him another few seconds, and then we'll move on. Maybe an extra 30 seconds.
Is that time computed from the 15 seconds?
Yes, it is. So that's 45 seconds in total. OK, very simple code question. True or false? You know the answer to this. True or false? Shall we move on? Very simple question here. True or false? I think 15 seconds is enough for these.
Yeah. Any more and people are going to fire up their repos.
Yeah, they'll start cheating by actually using the tools that they use in their day-to-day job to get real work done. How about this? True or false? This one's hard. And I promise you, there are no typos on any of these slides except for the ones where I had typos on them. Good to go, Joe?
Yeah.
That's the end of round one. So you can see the format of this quiz is pretty easy. Try to answer these questions. There's some benefit to them. We may not have time in this session to go over all the answers, but Joe, myself, and a bunch of other people will be here. You can ask them, hey, I saw this question. Do you know the answer? It's an opportunity for you to start a conversation or for you to ask some of the Python experts who are here at this event something that might help you further your understanding. Let's take a look at round two. Now, this is a Python event, and many of you know why Python is popular in the world, but many of you don't know where Python the language, or where the inspiration from some of the terms in the Python language came from. This is an event about Monty Python. So, just to fill things out, name 3 Monty Python films. By the way, there is a prize for the winner of this. So whoever emails me with their answers, with the highest score, there is an actual prize that is worth some considerable amount of money. I think we gave away PyData tickets before. We've done some extra stuff. I think we might even have PyData hoodies, which are really cool. Everyone loves hoodies.
Are those for sale, even if you don't win?
No, those are only for special giveaway. They're actually you can't even buy them in the store. Shall we move on? What are 3 questions asked by the bridge keeper? You know, when I asked these questions at PyData London, nobody had any idea anything about Monty Python. Not a single person in London. They were like, Monty, what is that? Monty Python?
Is this at a middle school?
No, this was at an event with people who were maybe not Joe's age, but my age.
Maybe it's simply collective amnesia. Maybe they choose to forget.
Maybe it's just
Never knew anything about
maybe it's more popular outside of the UK. Who knows? 3 questions asked by the bridge keeper. We haven't quite warmed up yet. They get much harder here. What cheese did the cheese shop actually have? That one's hard.
Could not answer any of these.
Yeah, Joe, because Monty Python was in the 70s, and you'd had to either have been alive during that or had watched it in reruns in the 80s or 90s. So this is something where you need to have some historical knowledge. I'm sure if I asked a question about Brood Wars, you'd be all on top of it. That's what's popular with the kids these days.
Remember Logan's Run?
Yeah, with Andy with
You get to 30?
yeah. Who was that? Roddy McDowell in that movie?
No.
Or
I'm old, so I shouldn't have.
that can be your bonus question. Who starred in Logan's Run? That was a great movie.
Dude, I should get it. At my age, I should get a bonus.
Just for reaching. Yeah. Shall we move on in 1 second? Why not try a holiday in Sweden this year? Fill in the blank. Does anyone actually know the answer to this? Answer it once the 30 seconds are up. We're on the honor system in this pub quiz. You don't know any of this,
You
do
should
you?
phrase your questions in the form of a question. I don't even know what you're supposed to write here.
Okay, pencils down on this one.
Is it the moose?
It's try the lovely lakes. Oh my goodness, you people.
There's a moose in most of them.
There's a moose in some of these. And then finally, what's the difference between an argument and mere contradiction? You may know that one of the inclusions in Python 3.4 argument clinic was named after a Monty Python sketch, which this question comes from.
And accepted in 3.4? Or is it still pending?
They've already changed the code base to reflect the argument clinic stuff, haven't they?
They did that before it was accepted.
Oh, you're not supposed to do that, are you?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
You're not reading some of this stuff out of like the C code comments, are you?
This guy is. Let's take a look at round 3. Now, round 3 is a reminder to us that coming to a PyData event isn't just about learning about Python or learning trivia about Monty Python. It's about having fun and learning people. So it's only the first day, but see if you can name 3 people you met at this event. 3 new people, just their first names, or the guy in the brown sweater, or the girl who works at Brookhaven National Labs, somebody you met who maybe you enjoyed meeting. Because that's what the point of this event is. We give extra bonus points for the social dimension, which should never be forgotten, even in the deepest and densest of code talks. Why don't you introduce yourself to the people around you? That's an easy point.
This is not even a question.
It's not even a question. Joe is getting very upset.
Yeah.
That's not even a question.
Wrong format. Nice to meet you, James.
Nice to meet you, Joe. I'm glad that you could be here.
Yeah.
This is Joe. I'm James. By the way, nice to meet all of you. Yeah. This is the most important part of the pub. It really is, honestly.
Hey, Colin.
We'll move on in like 3 seconds.
Okay, we got to make up some time.
And then there is a question here. Are y'all friends yet? The only answer is yes. The only answer to this question is yes. It's worth 10 points. Let's move on. Round 4. Everyone makes mistakes. This is one of my favorite rounds. Every slide here has a mistake in it or multiple mistakes. Find the bugs. An assertion error is a bug. So if this raises an assertion error, that's a mistake. Notate it. I think there might still be one typo on one of these slides. That also counts as a mistake. So find the bugs. Some of these have no mistakes, in which case the answer is there are no bugs. And I'll just watch Joe's face until I can figure out has he got it yet. You got it?
Yeah.
Wow. I'll let you, at the end of this, you can tell me, just give him a thumbs up, thumbs down if there are or are not any bugs. Or tell him how many bugs you spotted. Give them the par when the 60 seconds elapses.
Oh, now I'll find out if I'm right.
Mm-hmm. So just list the bugs you found. Okay, time's up. How many did you find?
Just one. Just one.
No, there are. Oh, yeah, there's just one. It's just one. How about this?
The bug is that you should not write class methods like that, or methods like this.
Shouldn't you be deriving it for objects?
This is all Python 3. Everything in this presentation is written in Python. The presentation itself is a Python 3 script. All of the code in the presentation is Python 3. Python 3 only.
So what if we're like 2.75?
Then that's a bug in itself. That's honestly, that bug is going to hurt you more than anything else that you see at this event. Goodness. I'm just watching his face until he finds the bugs. This one's really hard. I'll give you an extra few seconds on this. This one's really hard.
Is this bugs that are executed or just bugs that exist in the source?
Both. Anything that causes it to not run to termination without printing an error. I'll give you an extra 15 seconds. I used to give people 30 seconds for this one. This is easy. You got it? You got it. Oh, this guy. How many bugs did you see, Joe?
2 bugs.
2 bugs. So one last second to see if you can spot the 2 bugs, and then we'll move on. Okay. How many bugs? This is not supposed to be easy. You guys are all Python experts, very highly paid data scientists.
Can we switch and do this slide in Bash instead?
We can try. We can try. Oh, that's a good thing. I should. One question should be: can you write a line of Python that is also a valid line of Bash? We're gonna add that. We're gonna add that for next year's.
I figured it out. You guys are actually.
Not me. I only present the
you
questions.
wrote these.
I only present the questions as possibilities.
So only supporting you.
I only support the system. I don't. No, wait. I only contribute to the system. I don't support it.
That, my friend, is evil.
Yes, it is. You still haven't found it yet? This one's.
I mean, I'm counting. It's. You just added a bunch of operators there.
Yeah, I just added. Okay. How many bugs?
It's like at least 3.
At least 3. At least 3. How about this one? This one's actually not too bad. Just requires that you read through it slowly. If Joe enjoys this session, that's enough for me. That's enough for me. There's one major bug that many of you won't consider a bug, but is actually a bug.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that can be worse than
Can be worse than
any
that.
other bug.
I'll let you explain that to them after the time elapses. So write down your answers, and then Joe will show you the bugs that he found. When you're ready?
Yeah. So the first bug that stands out, there's a comment here, 3 sets. Y is not an empty set. Y is a dictionary. So the comment being wrong is a bug because that is going to ruin everyone's life. Dictionaries don't have an add method. And even if they did, the value would probably need to be hashable, which dictionaries are not. See any other fun bugs in here?
Mm-hmm.
Taking the, well, you're going to do a bitwise OR with dictionaries. Can't do that. You can do set union, but not with dictionaries.
You got the last one? Random.choice cannot be called on anything that is not a sequence. Cannot be called on a set.
Yes.
Let's move on. If this one is incredibly confusing, but with one very simple principle, it just makes sense. The principle behind this will be covered in my talk on Thursday, namely, how does Python know if a variable is a local variable or a global variable? It is a very simple principle based on a very simple execution model. That talk is maybe 10 minutes of theory, and then every answer just makes sense. This is an exaggerated example of that at play, but if you see the talk and you understand how Python works under the covers, this all just makes sense. And it's just a maybe exaggerated formulation of that. Find as many bugs as you can. As many as you can. I think there's only one. Don't worry, it gets harder. It's harder. Now it gets easier from here. My goodness, you are taking 90 of the seconds. I had put this on Joe time.
I think there's 2 bugs.
Think there's 2 bugs?
Yeah.
Where? Yep. Yeah. Thank you.
They had me doubting.
Yeah, you're doubting yourself. That's what this does. That's what the career does. It makes you doubt yourself. But you shouldn't doubt yourself because all of you are talented programmers. And while this is an artificial example, probably with enough time and just the right principles, I think any one of you can get it. And we'll talk about this more on Thursday. I think this is our second to last or our last one. Can anyone spot the bug? This is a bug that almost all of you have actually run into in your day-to-day lives if you use pandas or NumPy. I can see even some of you are nodding. You see it right now. And it's a really stupid error message that doesn't explain to you what the problem is. Well, it actually tells you what you're supposed to do. But throws you for a loop and throws you back to trying random things. Actually, two bugs, I would say.
Yeah.
Two bugs. And I would say the first one.
No, actually.
No, this is a bug.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But
That's a bug.
no.
No, yeah, because.
Oh, yeah, same issue.
Yeah. So they're both, I think, very important consequences of how NumPy works.
I mean, what do you consider this?
Just doesn't do anything interesting, but
Yeah,
it's not a
okay.
bug. Okay. And then finally, for those, I always make fun of people who come to PyData events and they ignore all the wealth of scientific computing and numeric computing and laser focus on machine learning and neural networks and deep learning. We are obligated to include something from scikit-learn in anything that is done at a PyData event. But let me tell you, there's a big world out there of people doing actual scientific computing beyond machine learning that has a lot of interesting and fantastic stuff.
What did he just say?
Exactly. If it doesn't have to do with scikit-learn or neural networks, nobody cares. Do you know this one? Somebody, if we have a scikit-learn expert, they know this one. This is pretty easy. Which of these models has a predict prob A method on them? Requires you have to have used all the models, though. We should add a neural network question in there.
Yeah. Those are hot these days.
Yeah, neural networks, real hot these days. Everyone loves them. Give them another 10 seconds, and then we'll move to the next section. Very good. I hope some of you are writing down your answers. If you don't have answers, that's okay. Maybe your score is your name and your email address. That could be enough. You might be the highest one. Oh, this one is actually, come on, you run into this. Everyone's run into this. What's the difference between IX, lock, and iLock in pandas? Nobody knows, except if Jeff Reback's in the room, maybe he knows. I don't remember. Actually, I do, but only because I wrote this question. Yeah, so that's a reasonable answer. It's a reasonable answer. I'll take it. I'll accept it. All of these are pieces of code. If you're a fast typer, you could always just type them in. I think this is the last question in this section. And then we get into our next section. So in this section, we're going to ask you some social questions about the community. How do you pronounce these things on this on the board? Now, I will tell you, I have met
This is an answer.
a developer for the top tool that pronounces it very differently than another core developer for the top tool, and they hate each other for how they pronounce it differently. But maybe after the 30 seconds are up, we can talk about this.
Is this not a round of tabs versus spaces?
No, this is just how do you pronounce and Now I'll tell you the middle one is actually pronounced pandas. You heard that first here. The fourth one is pronounced sklern.
That is correct.
Yeah. How do you pronounce the last one? Anyone got that one? The T is silent. T is silent. How do you pronounce these?
Both T's are silent.
We are at PyData, which is an event sponsored by NumFOCUS. NumFOCUS sponsors a lot of projects. All the projects on the previous screen are either affiliated or fiscally sponsored projects. Name 3 active NumFOCUS project contributors. So 3 people who make it possible for you to use the software that you use every day. This is a very important question. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this question because when we take this pub quiz to PyData events, people realize I use this software every day of my life and I have no idea how it came to be. So let's take an extra 20 seconds to just think, who are the people who make it possible for me to do the work that I do every single day? And maybe beyond the big names, beyond Wes McKinney, who are the folks who are continuing the tradition, who are maintaining this software, who are keeping this software alive? And if out of this session, he actually has some commits to some of these projects. Although I wouldn't say you're a core contributor, but you have commits to these projects. This is also an important question for you to dwell on. If the only thing that you get out of this is the answer to this question, the answer to the previous question, and you met somebody new, I'll have considered this session a success. But why is NumFOCUS important? One person in one of the quizzes said it's not, and I gave them minus 50 points.
And escorted him from the room.
Yeah, pretty much. I had security do that.
Just to keep you busy, right?
Yeah. Why is NumFOCUS important? It is a very important organization, not just for PyData, but for the projects themselves. This is a serious question, and I think it's worth thinking for a few seconds, 30 seconds of your time, why it's important. And maybe writing it down and including it in your answers. OK, this is a round that people seem to either love or hate. I'm going to show you some code. It'll either be in Python 2 or Python 3, or it'll work in both, or it'll be a syntax error. So it's either Python 2, Python 3, both, or neither. OK? Those are the possibilities. Is this Python 2, Python 3, both, or neither? Now, when I say Python 3, I mean the latest Python 3. When I say Python 2, I mean the latest Python 2. So obviously, this wouldn't work in Python 2.0. Python 2, Python 3, both, or neither. Give them another few seconds. Python 2, Python 3, both, or neither. That one's pretty easy. You know the answer? You confident?
Well, is that merged? I don't know if that was accepted.
I'll tell you the ones that do actually, it works in my interpreter.
Oh, okay.
Python 2, Python 3, both, or neither. Code might not do anything useful, but sometimes it's useful to be able to spot quickly what version did they write this for. Python 2, Python 3, both, or neither. Neither, of course, meaning syntax error. This is invalid code. They added pointers to Python.
Yeah. But only pointers and pointers to pointers.
Yeah.
No further.
And only to nothing. Python 2, Python 3, both, or neither.
It's called a null pointer.
OK, very good. Thank you, Joe. I knew I was right in asking you to co-host this session. Python 2, Python 3, both, and neither. I will give you the answer to this afterwards. Do you know the answer to this? Python 2, Python 3, both, or neither? I only gave 15 seconds because it's very easy to tell. And I believe this is our last example. Python 2, Python 3, both, or neither. Got it?
Oh. Yeah.
Whisper the answer to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm? No.
Give you another few seconds, and then we'll move to the last, and I believe my favorite section. This is hard, huh? Really hard. The other takeaway from this, I suspect, is that many of you realize that Python itself is a very deep language. There's a lot of pieces to it. And hopefully this can be an inspiration for you to dig a little bit deeper, to hone your craft, to sharpen the axe, as it were.
Writing code that looks like that.
No?
If you have any coworkers that write code that looks like that, get away.
Yeah.
Leave. Find another job.
Have you ever written code? You've written code that looks like this, I bet.
No. See that backslash character?
Okay.
Ripped off my keyboard.
Oh, there. So oftentimes when we do this over a 2-hour session, we self-score so that we get through the answers at the same time. Unfortunately, this is only a 1-hour session, so we don't have the chance to do that. You'll have an opportunity to ask answers from Joe or myself or any of the other experts that we have here over the next 4 days. Anyone know the answer to this previous question that we looked at? Python 2, Python 3, both or neither? Anyone had an answer for this? I want to show you something very important about the pop quiz. Joe, is this Python 2, Python 3, both or neither?
Both.
Neither. These are tabs, these are spaces. It's an indentation error. So sometimes the quiz is not fair. And then the final and my favorite round, this round is called The Names Have Been Changed to Protect the Innocent. Data scientists, for some reason, love to import things as things. You import NumPy as MP, you import pandas as PD, you import matplotlib as MPL, you even import this as T. Let's assume you had a friend or a coworker who loved it so much that they imported everything from every language as something else. So here's an example of some simple code that uses the Python standard library, and they've imported everything as something else. In my sample, you can kind of look at it for a few seconds, and you might be able to guess what was what. Everything's from the standard library. We can see, oh, you're unpacking 2 things here. And then there's 2 things in here, and there's a function here. This function takes a start parameter. What do you think that must be?
Which?
From the standard library.
A?
Yeah, what A is.
Enumerate.
Enumerate. What do you think the who am I is if it's taking these 2 and if A is enumerate?
Zip.
Zip. And what do you think the B probably is? Something simple? Print. So the answer for this would be somebody did a from built-ins import enumerate as A, from built-ins enumerate print as B, from built-ins enumerate zip as who am I.
Is this person getting treatment?
I think that if you import anything as anything, I don't like that at all. In any case, the answer to this is these and also what the actual library is. If you struggle to figure out what the pieces are, then for partial credit and for a significant amount of the partial credit, just tell us what the library is. Here are the library built-ins. So, what library is this? By the way, all of these have been taken from the standard documentation from the project. So what library is this? And if you can guess what the whoami1 is and what the whoami2 is. This is an example that you will see on the website for that package as one of their stock examples. And all I've done is change the names to protect the innocent. And see if you can guess what the whoami1 and 2 are and what project it is. Can you guess?
Library, yes. Where's who am I 2? Oh, who am I 1?
Seaborn?
Close. Close, but no cigar. There's a big hint, though. The hint is right here.
We shouldn't be shouting it, actually.
Have fun. How about this one? What library is this? And what's the who am I?
Is there only one? Who am I?
There's only one.
You. Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this shows that if you randomly import things under other names, people can still kind of figure out what the code is, like that puzzle that was going around where you swap the letters inside the words and see if people can still read them. Please, please don't ever import NumPy as MP. I hate that.
That's perfectly fine.
I hate it.
I will say that's considered idiomatic.
Yeah. What's the alternative? Import all the names?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Because then I'm going to see some, Which sum is that? Is that np.sum? Is that sum?
No, then say from NumPy import sum.
Yes, but sum shadows are built in.
Then import it as something else, some other name.
But I can't use import as.
Sorry, Joe.
No, you can't do it at the module level.
Joe Bartley, this time I'm with him.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incorrect.
Okay. He says incorrect, and he's the quiz master, so
Yeah.
we'll go. What library is this? What library is this? And what's the who am I? Pretty straightforward.
You really like split as a method.
I'm
Used in a few examples.
I like split. It's a useful string method. Strings are the fundamental data type.
No.
Byte strings are the fundamental data type.
The dictionary is the fundamental data type.
Every language has byte strings. No, not really. But bytes. Well, you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm getting at.
The general flavor of the idea.
The flavor, exactly. Don't undermine me when we're on stage together. Let's move on. What library and what's the who am I? Oh, there's a big hint.
What is that method name?
Well, you have to know a little bit about science to figure out what this is.
Yeah.
Go learn some science, Joe. I believe the next one is our last question. Oh no, we have two more questions left. Just one library. I mean, the built-ins are used as well, but just one library here. The who am I is a little bit tricky. It's one of those functions from that library. Actually, no, there are two libraries used. That's a very good thing that you spot. This is our second to last question. I'm sure some of you have seen this library before. I can guess what it might be.
Yep.
Every one of these has a big hint.
Yep.
At least you knew the last library if you didn't know the last who am I. This one's so easy. Dan, you know which library this is. There's a big hint. Look at this. Look at that. Was that enough? Not enough? Okay. I'll give you another 15 seconds, and then we'll go to our last question. Everyone look at the last question. We'll try and throw in some gimme points in here, other than your name. And our last question of the PyData New York 2017 pop quiz. What library is this, and what method name is that? And as per instructions, for those of you who have been writing down your answers on your phones or your laptops, send me an email. My name is james@numfocus.org. It's my email address. I'm James Powell. Send me an email. Make the title Pop Quiz Answers. I'll tell you your score. If you had the highest score, I think what we were going to give the highest scoring person was a free ticket to PyData next year. And if we have any hoodies left over, one of the NumFOCUS hoodies that currently only go to project contributors and keynotes. And I think we have some extra left over that we will have for you as well. There's a big prize involved. They are really comfortable, really soft, and they tell the world how you feel about free software, open source software. So altogether, let's say what this library is. Everyone know what this library is?
Learn.
Exactly. You always have to include a scikit-learn question, no matter what the material is. Thank you so much. This has been the Pop Quiz. I hope you enjoyed it. Send me your answers, james@numfocus.org. Any questions you have, you can ask either one of us. We know all the answers. Thank you.